We've been talking election. Budget could trigger it. Doesn't look like that's necessarily going to happen. We could still be looking at an election in the next few months or so, but the budget certainly isn't going to do it. So let's talk about where the Liberals stand right now. Are they still in majority territory with 36%? But based on the numbers that you're seeing a bit of a slip.
Actually, what we're seeing is a little bit of a slip, and at 36%, they're on the cusp of a majority, but the Conservatives are still 7 points back at 29, and the NDP are at 19. So it's a bit of a work in progress. Liberals definitely have the advantage, Angie, but it looks like not quite a majority, but pretty close to it right now.
So if we then make the comparisons to where the Conservatives and the NDP stand, and we're just showing our viewers some of those numbers there, your take now, if we were to trigger an election, in the next 6 weeks or so, where would you say things are going to stand?
Well, probably what we would see is a Liberal majority, because the distribution of support for the Liberals is actually very efficient at generating seats. The Conservative support is very concentrated in the West. And, the Liberals nearly won a majority and lost the popular vote last time. So right now, their efficient vote gets them the advantage and probably puts them into majority territory if an election were held today. But you know what, Angie? The election is not today, and a lot of things can happen between now and when the election eventually occurs.
And the Conservatives have been really pushing hard, of course, on the economy. We need to revive the economy. We need to provide jobs. Your thoughts on there in terms of where Canadians stand with the Conservatives on that?
Well, the big question for the Conservatives is how well will Erin O'Toole perform? Right now, about 1 out of every 4 Canadians are unsure whether they think that Erin O'Toole has or does not have the qualities of a good political leader. And the Liberals have been trying to define Erin O'Toole as inconsistent and opportunistic. So Erin O'Toole needs to use his response to the budget to define his vision for Canada, and also as an alternative government in waiting to the Liberals. Well, it'll be interesting to see how successful or not successful he might be in the next couple of weeks as he tries to oppose the government on the budget.
What about the NDP? We know that NDP leader Jagmeet Singh saying, he wasn't going to trigger an election. This is not what Canadians need during a pandemic. It's not the right time. But there were things in this budget that the NDP were saying missing, National Farmer Care being one of them, of course, saying that, the child care plan is a good one, but there are a lot of areas that are still falling short.
Yeah, it looks like, for the NDP, they're at 19%, which is pretty decent for the New Democrats. It puts them within striking zone of doing well in the next election, at least compared to the last election. But, what was missing from this budget for them was the wealth tax that they wanted. And it looked like the Liberals were not prepared to kind of give in to the New Democrats on that front. It'll be interesting to see how the New Democrats respond to the budget, because they're on the record for saying that this isn't a good time because of the pandemic. And, they're probably the key to deciding whether there's an election or not, based on this budget vote of confidence that's coming up.
Yeah, certainly. And I'd say, I think when you mentioned that, the issue with regards to the tax there that the NDP wanted, the Liberals kind of skirted around that with regards to the luxury vehicles and airplanes, et cetera, but not quite rightly so. If you're making this much money, then this is what the tax is going to be. What else for you, Nick, stands out in the polling numbers in terms of what we should be keeping a close eye on in the next few weeks, perhaps couple of months?
Well, when we look at the polling numbers and also look at the budget, what's clear, at least, is that the Liberals see their winning coalition as women with the child care program, environmentalists, seniors helping students, and Quebecers. And it's basically a blueprint for what the Liberals probably want to run on. But they may slam up against anxiety and anger over the rollout of the vaccinations, because the fact of the matter is we can't get vaccinated fast enough. And it'll be interesting to see whether Canadians potentially punish the Liberals just because the vaccine rollout is not going as well as many has hoped.
You need healthy Canadians to keep the economy going, certainly. And of course, we're hearing from Chrystia Freeland. When you mentioned women there, Nick, she called this somewhat of a feminist type budget, really focusing on some areas for women there. All right, we'll keep a close eye on those numbers. Pollster Nik Nanos from Nanos Research. Always great to have you on the program, Nick. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.